What if Deku joined Team JPDE? Chapter 68. Man I Love Females Part 3. Friday. Day 166. As Team JPDE were getting ready, they wondered when Deku was going to return, but he never did. Now, it was almost time for the first class of the day at Beacon. Okay. Where is he? I want details on what they talked about, Jack said. Penny, David and Evelyn all stared at Jack. And, I'm worried about him too, of course, Jack said. Better. But seriously, where is he? Evelyn asked. Well, there was a storm last night that stopped the bullheads, David said. But the storm passed hours ago, and several bullhead for Vale have already landed. He should have been here by now. Also, he can get here easily by his own means. What's keeping him? Penny asked. You don't think? No. That bastard better not have, Jack said. Calm down, Jackie. Aiju said himself he doesn't want to continue that kind of relationship with her, and Callie agreed not to pursue him anymore, Evelyn said. That was then, this is now. As Penny said, her use of words allowed her to be pursued by Aijuku, Jack said. Well, why don't we just call him, and ask why he isn't back? He should be at least awake by now, David said. I'm on it, Penny said. Penny then called Deku. It took a moment for the call to connect. Aijuku. Where are you? We're worried about you, Penny said. Who is this? Callie asked, groggily. Are you Mrs. Belladonna? Penny asked. Wait. Callie Belladonna answered. Put her on speaker, Jack said. Down bad much? Evelyn whispered. Definitely, David whispered. Penny put Callie on speaker. Yes, I am. Now who am I speaking to? Callie asked. I'm Penny Polendina, Aijuku's teammate and girlfriend, Penny said. Ah, so you're the adorable one, Callie said. Penny blushed. David then took over. Hello Mrs. Belladonna, I'm David. Sorry to cut this short, but we were wondering where Aijuku was. Did he leave his scroll at your place? David asked. Nope, he did not leave his scroll behind, Callie said. Callie then switched the call to FaceTime, showing that Deku was sleeping peacefully with his face in her chest. He's still here, Callie said. That bastard. What happened to all that about not wanting to continue this kind of relationship? Jack yelled. Well, it appears Aijuku's brain and body were on different wavelengths. Anyways, it's good that you called. I have a proposal, Callie said. A proposal? Evelyn asked. You all allow me to keep him for the day and I'll fulfill one request from each of you, Callie said. Deal, Jack said. Hey. Who do you think you are, whoring my boyfriend around? Evelyn said. So you don't want Callie to owe you something? Jack asked. Evelyn was about to respond but stopped. A porno between you and Aiju? Evelyn said. I can do that. What about the rest of you? Callie asked. The others remained silent. Saving it for a later day, fair enough. Evelyn, you'll have it by the end of the day. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a wake-up call to perform, Callie said. Callie then hung up. So Jack, what are you going to ask for? Evelyn asked. Shut up, Jack said. Up in the lab ship, Seal was contemplating something. Back when the new Atlassian AK units had arrived. They can really do that. Seal said. What is it? Him asked. There are some people. Friends if you will, I need to check on and inform them of these new units. They are the same people I broke the rules for, Seal said. I see, and who are these people? Him asked. Well, there's Penny Polendina, Seal said. So you've made friends with Enrico Polendina's daughter? I wasn't expecting that. Then again, I didn't think you'd do anything outside the rules. Please, continue. There's her partner Evelyn Demarot. She's certainly a character, Seal said. Him laughed. She must have thrown you for a loop, Helhim said. You could say that, yes. Then there's their team leader, Jacqueline B. Ivory. She's the most normal person on the team, Seal said. Then what's the last member of the team like, Helhim asked. Well, about that. The whole team is a team of 5 and the last 2 are the weirdest, Seal said. Oh. Do tell me more, Helhim said. Well, there's David, he has an interesting existence. He wasn't born in the typical way, and that's all I'll say, Seal said. I see. Guess I'll have to ask for permission to hear his origins, Helhim said. You'd also have to ask the last person as well. His name is Izuku Midoriya. His, Seal said. He's what, Helhim asked. Father. I have a request, Seal said. What kind of request, Helhim asked. I would like to have a body upgrade, Seal asked, blushing. A body upgrade, Helhim asked. Yes, Seal said. Helhim remained silent for a moment. Oh my gods. I can't believe it. My daughter's fallen in love, Helhim yelled. What? No, I haven't, Seal yelled, then sneezing. Don't lie to me, young lady. Professor Polendina has told me about your lying sneezes. You can't hide it from me, Helhim said. But how did you know that's what I was asking for, Seal asked. Because you asked for a body upgrade. Also, Professor Polendina also told me that his daughter has noticed signs in your behavior that she brought to his attention. I'll send over the schematics for the upgrade, Helhim said. Wait. You already have schematics for it, Seal asked. Of course I do. Enrico told me about the progress his daughter had made and suggested I do the same. You may be a robot, but you've been given life and developed a personality. Eventually you'd find someone you love and want to be intimate with, just like Penny. So stop being such a tsundere and tell Izuku how you feel. I'll send the schematic to Enrico right away, Helhim said. Wait. Could you actually send them to me? I'm not ready for such a thing yet. I was expecting to have some time while you created the schematics, Seal said. Very well. But I expect you to tell him sooner rather than later. You won't be at Beacon for much longer and who knows when you'll see him again, Seal said. Right, Seal said. Now if that's all, I'll leave you to inform you friends. Hope to hear from you soon, my tsundere daughter, Helhim said. What does tsundere mean, Seal asked. Look it up, Helhim said, then hanging up. Tsundere, Seal said, looking up the word. I am not, Seal yelled. Back to the present. Seal then entered the lab. Professor Polendina. I have a request, Seal said. Deku was getting ready for Weiss's lunch. It's not fair. I want to meet her too, Evelyn said. Why exactly, Deku asked. Someone who has you that whipped with a scroll call. I need to study at the feet of this master, Evelyn said. Yeah, how about no? The only reason she has me whipped, as you say, is because I wanted to fix Weiss's and Winter's relationship, Deku said. I must admit, meeting Winter's mother sounds like a wonderful experience. But the room will already be crowded, as is, Penny said. I just regret I'll miss the shenanigans. Have fun, Jack said. What, Jack said? Have fun, Deku, David said. I'll try. Thanks, Deku said. Deku then left. So, how sensitive is your hearing again, girls, Jack asked. Evelyn and Penny laughed. Deku was now waiting at the Bullhead landing. Afternoon, Izuku Winter said. Good afternoon, dearie Willow said. Afternoon, Winter. And hello. Mother, Deku said. See. You're learning, Willow said. And to think I once thought of you as a shameless philanderer. How naive I was, Winter said. Shall we go, then? Or do you want to have a little more fun at my expenses first? Deku asked. That sounds quite delightful, but I think I will make do with your arm, for now, Mr. Chaperone. The school has changed a lot since the last time I was here, Willow said. Oh, I'm sure. But what was that about just my arm for now? Deku asked. Don't you worry about that, dearie. Now, if you please, Willow said. Deku and Willow began to walk. So naive. But what does she plan to do with him? Winter questioned. In Team RWBY's room. Ah. Perfect. All that's left is to let it dry out at low temperature for 15 minutes, Weiss said. Weiss. Winter and Izuku have arrived. And Blake said. Finally. Let me go greet them, Weiss said. And your mother is here, too, Blake said. Izuku. Winter. Welcome. I hope you're prepared for an unforgettable luncheon. Weiss said. As leader of Team RWBY, I require. No, I beg of you, Ruby said. Weiss looked to see Ruby, Young, Deku and Winter, with her mother, Willow Schnee. Please show me Weiss's baby pictures, Ruby said. Oh, it'd be my pleasure, Willow said. Wait. You actually have those with you? Winter asked. I carry digitalized versions of baby pictures of all my children, Winter. It's an unwritten rule of motherhood, as you should soon learn, Willow said. Excuse me, Winter asked, blushing. Come now, don't tell me you're going to let Weiss and Mr. Boyfriend beat you to that milestone, Willow said. Okay, it's way too soon to talk about that kind of stuff. Me and Weiss, Deku said. What the hell are you doing here? Weiss yelled. Oh, my, you were right, Mr. Boyfriend. That was absolutely nothing. She does care what Miss Rose thinks of her, doesn't she? Willow said. What? No, I don't. I mean I do, but not. Weiss yelled. Or, Weiss, Ruby said. For the record, I tried to warn you, Blake said. I'm sorry, Weiss, but we didn't want to ruin the occasion or upset you, and, well, I was kind of looking forward to trying your cooking, to be honest, Deku said. He's good, Willow whispered. I know, Winter whispered. Well, I guess it couldn't be helped. I bet her presence in Vale and improvised like a thunderbolt in a clear sky, Weiss said. From personal insults to being referred to as a destructive force of nature. That's progress, Willow said. Weiss sighed. Let's just get to the table. The food's almost ready, anyway, Weiss said. They all then sat down at the table and ate Weiss's food. After eating, Weiss and Willow were out on the balcony. That was delicious, Weiss. My compliments, Willow said. Thanks, I guess, Weiss said. You guess? My, Weiss, I know our relationship may have become glacial, but I've never known you for someone to refuse a good ego stroke, Willow said. Well, I guess a lot of things have changed. I'm still reeling, here. Honestly, I don't know what's more shocking. The fact you've stopped drinking or that you set foot outside your half of the mansion, Weiss said. Honestly, the latter. Sooner or later the first one was going to catch up with me, Willow said. And yet I had no confidence you would do the first one, even if you developed cirrhosis. For years, now, you've been the emblem of passivity and weakness to me, Mother. Then, I discovered that you were Winter's emotional support through the worst period of her life. Now, you went and left Atlas, Weiss said. I'm just on vacation, Weiss, Willow said. You may have fooled Winter, but not me, Weiss said. Oh, Willow said. Winter may have left the family, but she still chose to remain in Atlas. She took another path, but the change wasn't as drastic as it could have been. I remember when she left. The look in her eyes wasn't the one of someone deciding to just eradicate themselves from everything and nothing. That's the look you have in your eyes right now, Weiss said. And how, pray tell, are you so sure of that? Willow asked. Weiss sighed. I had the exact same look in my eyes, the day I left Atlas. Except, maybe. Just maybe. I was leaving something behind after all, Weiss said. You couldn't have known. You're not completely wrong about me, Weiss. All I can say is that, as you say, I'm trying to follow the example of my daughters and make some changes in my life. All I ask is that you acknowledge that, Willow said. Okay. I can do that, Weiss said. Okay, seriously, Miss Rose is a sweetheart, but... How is she the team leader? Willow asked. Don't get me started. The curriculum here is great, but there's a randomness factor on certain decisions that... Really? First of all, did you know that teams are made up randomly during the entrance test? Weiss said. Excuse me? What kind of laissez-faire? Willow asked. That's what I said. Well, not out loud. Still, if this school worked less like a madhouse, I could have been in a team with Pyrrha. Dust lasted, Nikos, Weiss said. Pyrrha. Nikos. Attends this school. And they didn't build a team around her, Willow yelled. I know. This is ridiculous. I could have. And Izuku's team is even more random. They're a team of 5 and join halfway through the year, Weiss said. Huh? Why is that? Willow asked. I honestly kind of preferred when they were being bittersweet and stuff, Ruby said. Well, I guess now we know where Weiss got that from, Blake said. Alright, let's get you some consolation dessert, Squirt Young said. Okay, Ruby said. Ruby and Blake went back into the kitchen. You two joining us? Young asked. Nah, we figure it'd be better to stick around in case buttons are accidentally pushed again, Deku said. Hey. Still, you know. I'm pretty happy for the two of them. Some of us don't even get a chance to see these kinds of bridges, let alone burn or rebuild them. So, keep on trucking, Young said. We will. Thanks, Winter said. Young then went back into the kitchen. Thank you, Izuku, Winter said. Huh? What for? Deku asked. For all of this. Thank you for making it happen, Winter said. Oh, I did nothing, Deku said. Don't be absurd. Of course you did something. You did the important parts, you've been the catalyst. I, have had a big hand in jump-starting it, yes, but... A less understanding and kind person wouldn't. They wouldn't have cared past that time I tied you to a chair. Instead, you went the extra mile, Winter said. Fair enough, Deku said. I don't know if I can make enough amends for what I've done, but I will try. And now I'm absolutely certain. You really love Weiss. And you care about her just as much as I do. As we do, Winter said. Okay, full disclosure here, before you paint me as a saint. That's not exactly correct, Deku said. Excuse me, Winter asked. Yeah, I went the extra mile and was the better person despite my treatment. But I didn't do it just out of love and worry for Weiss. I may love her, but I'm not that whipped, Deku said. Then. Why? Winter asked. Well, this is the part that makes me sound insane, but I was worried about you, too, Deku said. Winter blushed. You what? Winter asked. Yeah, told you it'd make me sound insane, Deku said. But how? When? Why? Why would you ever? Winter said. Your reaction when I inquired about your damage, Deku said. That's it, Winter asked. Yeah, Deku said. I was literally torturing you, Winter yelled. Don't remind me, Deku said. Obviously have to. What could possibly have made you? Oh gods, you are a philander, Winter yelled. What? Deku yelled. The endurance. The long-term planning. You tricked me. And now you've gotten my mother involved. Oh my gods, Winter said. Whoa whoa whoa. Let's not get crazy, here. That is not what happened, Deku said. You're seriously telling me you don't find me attractive? You had sex with me. You clearly find me attractive, as well as my mother, Winter yelled. You're putting words in my mouth. And the same applies to you. You found me attractive enough to fuck. Were you jealous of Weiss and decided to kidnap and torture me to get off? Deku yelled. Don't try and turn this around on me. You like being roughed up, don't you? Winter yelled. And you like to feel like you're in charge, but you're actually a total sub, Deku yelled. Oh my gods, I even sat on your back. You got off on that, didn't you? You perverted swine, Winter yelled. You're the perverted swine. You had no filter during it and did it with Weiss, Deku yelled. Do you have something to tell me? Weiss Willow asked. No, Weiss said. If you say so. At least I know he can perform, Willow said. Ha, Weiss said. A while later, it was time for Willow and Winter to leave. Well, this has been absolutely delightful, but we should head back. I should start looking into a more permanent residence for the duration of my stay, and I think Winter also needs some rest, Willow said. A shower is what I need. Filth, Winter said. Yeah, wash that mind of yours, Deku said. Yeah, I think a period of adjustment is what we all need right now, Weiss said. Not too long of a period, I hope. We have so much to talk about, my dear. Before I go though, Mr. Boyfriend, Ijuku, Willow said. Oh, yes Mother, Deku said. Weiss shivered. Dust above, that's going to take a geological age getting used to, Weiss said. Willow then lifted Deku's head with her fan. Mom, Weiss yelled. You're a smart young man, with a strong fiber and set of personal morals. And enough empathy to care about my selectively dumb daughters even at their worst. I like you, Mr. Boyfriend, Willow said. Mom, Winter groaned. Thanks, Deku said. So, please keep taking good care of the both of them. Okay, Ijuku. I'll be watching, Willow said. Wait. What do you mean both? Weiss asked. Okay, Deku said. Okay, he says, Winter said. Now, I'll bid you adieu, Mr. Boyfriend, Willow said. The tannoy then crackled into life. Attention all, due to technical difficulties all bullhead flights have currently been suspended until further notice. Replacement bus services to Vale will be on offer. We ask for your patience, and we apologize for any inconvenience, the announcer said. Well, that's annoying, Willow said. Especially so since from all flights are suspended the ATC is most likely down, so I can't call in a transport, Winter said. Guess you'll just have to settle for the bus, Weiss said. But that could take hours, and I'd rather not be squished into a bus, Willow said. Well then why doesn't Winter use her semblance to take you down to Vale? It may not be your preferred way of transport, but at least you won't have to deal with the bus, and you'll be in Vale faster than anyone else currently here, Deku said. Smart thinking. Won't you take me home, dearie, Willow said. But my name's not Winter, Deku said. I know that's silly. But this is the perfect time for that third thing I asked you for, Willow said. What exactly would that be? You never told me, Deku asked. It's simple really. I want you to make me feel young again, Willow said. What? Deku asked. Mother, Winter said. Seriously? That's what else you want from him? Weiss asked. Indeed it is. I'm not getting any younger here and would like to experience the fun of life. I missed being drunk in that hellhole. So, won't you take me home, dearie, Willow said. Mother, please, Winter said. It's alright, Winter, I did agree to this, Deku said. But Winter said. Fine by me, I need to have a chat with you anyways, Winter, Weiss said. Fine, Winter said. Shall we go, Mother, Deku said. Yes, my dear, Willow said. Deku picked up Willow, carrying her princess style, and then jumped off the cliff heading for Vale. Winter and Weiss did the same. Deku had quickly managed to carry Willow to her apartment. Well, I haven't had a rush like that in years. Do you feel the same way? Willow asked. At first, I did, but now it's become nothing more than walking for me. I wasn't even using my full power, Deku said. Wow, you're just getting more and more impressive, Willow said. Thank you, Mother, Deku said. I should be thanking you, dearie. So please, come inside for some tea, Willow said. Very well, Deku said. Deku and Willow then went inside. Meanwhile. So, you told Mother everything? Winter asked. Well, she got a very clear picture from your accusation on Izuku. Seriously, Winter, Izuku is not like that at all, you need to calm down, Wise said. Alright, sorry, Winter said. You should be saying that to Izuku. Speaking of him, Mother said something about him, Wise said. What was that? Winter asked. She was glad to hear that he could perform, Wise said. She also said something about him when we arrived. She said she'll settle for his arm for now, Winter said. Wise and Winter stood there thinking for a moment. You don't think? Wise and Winter asked. Where is she staying? Wise asked. Follow me, Winter said. Winter then led Wise to Willow's apartment. They jumped up to the balcony, but by the time they arrived it was too late. In Team JPDDE's room, David was talking to Evelyn and Penny about Melanie's proposal. So, one on hand, it could be just her natural skills of persuasions to convince me to do things. Reminds me of someone else, David said. Really, now, Evelyn said. On the other. Well, what do you think? David asked. Are you asking for permission to go out with one of the hot image girls from your workplace, honey? Evelyn asked. No, just asking what do you think about the possibility that Melanie might be interested in me, David said. Well, she seems nice. Her sister too, Penny said. Unless your name is Young, from what I hear, Jack said. Quite. Anyway, we can't really make any decisions on that possibility until we know her better. And we trust you to pace yourself and take things slow, Penny said. Oh, thank you, Penny, David said. Thank and your titanium level density, Evelyn said. Screw you, Evelyn, David said. Gladly, Evelyn said. Jack groaned. Taking a hike. Penny, come on, I know today it's Evelyn's solo turn with the boys, Jack said. Oh, wow, Jack. You managed to deduce our schedule from the frequency and details of our romps, Penny asked. Don't remind me, Jack yelled. Jack then left the room. Speaking of my romp time. Where's my green boy? Evelyn asked. I told him to be here tonight so I could tell you all at once about Melanie. Guess I'll have to get his say later, David said. Get my say on what? Deku asked. Well, look who finally decided to show up, David said. Sorry, I was busy with something, Deku said. Busy with who? Evelyn asked. Anyway, what is it you need my say on? Deku asked. I was asked to hang out after work by Melanie, and I think she might be interested. So what do you think about her? David said. Me and Evelyn have already given our approval, Penny said. Oh, that, yeah, I'm fine with it. We are going on a double date with T-twins after all, Deku said. Huh. Since when was that a thing? David asked. Since always. Milshia told me it was going to be a double date, Deku said. Melanie must have forgot to mention it, Penny said. Yeah. So does that mean Milshia is interested in you? David asked. I suppose so, and I guess Melanie is interested in you, Deku said. I think so, David said. Getting the hot image twins. I like the sound of that. And speaking of twins, get changed, Carlo and Jun. This bunny want the two new image boys, Evelyn said. Meanwhile at Junior's. Why? Why have I let this happen for so long? All of my life. She's been given everything she could have wished for. Or she grabbed for it with ease. I had to toil, I had to work for it. I had to put my all just to keep up with her. And yet, I always put her first, everyone always put her first. But never again. Never again. Next time I'm putting my foot down and saying, no, you can't have that. Why? Because I want it, Melchior thought. There you are. What the hell are you doing here? It's almost time to start, Melanie said. All right. You can do this, Melchior. The moment she's in earshot, Melchior thought. What are you doing here all alone? You practicing your brooding or something? Anyway, listen up, Melanie said. Okay. Now, Melchior thought. Melanie, Melchior said. I got you a date with Mr. Carlo, Melanie said. You what, Melchior asked. Well, he doesn't really know, since that's not how I sold it, but I did get him to promise to hang out with us after work one of these days. I'll try and leave the two of you some space, but you will have to give your all, Melanie said. You? What? Why, Melchior asked. Oh, wow. It's been so long that you forgot how to do it, Melanie said. That's not what I... Melanie, that's what you were talking about with David last time, Melchior asked. Oh, you saw us. Dang, and here I wanted it to be a surprise, Melanie said. But why? Why would you do that, Melchior asked. Because you desperately need to relax. I thought getting someone to help with work would allow you to do that, but nope, still same high-strung, Melchior. So, of course I had to try something else. Like getting you a boyfriend. You get along with the guy, he's charming, easy on the eyes and has got quite the head on his shoulders, just as you like them. He may be a couple years younger and he's already got 2 girlfriends and a boyfriend, and I heard they've opened their relationship. Perfect for you, right, Melanie asked. Melchior's face fell. Melchior. What's wrong, Melanie asked. I'm so sorry, Melchior said. You're sorry? For what, Melanie asked. Up until 1 minute ago, I was about ready to tear you a new one. And vomit years of repressed feelings in a torrent of verbal abuse, Melchior said. You what, Melanie asked. I guess I should just come out with it, instead. Be the level-headed one. As always, Melchior said. And what exactly do you mean by that? Moo, Melanie said. Melanie. Growing up, there have been moments where I hated you. We're twins and yet we couldn't be more different. Looks to the side. Interests, attitudes, our learning aptitudes. It takes me twice as long to learn to do something as good as you. And yet, everything we've done, everything we were pushed into, was done while keeping you in mind. Only, always you. And if something bad happened, I got the blame. Like being a couple minutes older qualifies me as the older sister, somehow. We never went back home after we got expelled, but I can only imagine what Mom and Dad would have said. All of that and more. I don't blame you, Melin, but damn if I don't resent you at times. Especially since you never, ever seem to take things seriously. Probably because you don't need to, but I know it's irrational, but I can't really help it. I'm interested in David, and when I saw you talking to him, I thought you wanted to. I thought you had beaten me to something, yet again. Instead, you were just thinking of me, and I almost... I'm so sorry, Melchior said. Melchior, no, you don't need to be sorry. You're absolutely right, Melanie said. I'm right, Melchior asked. Do you know why when you proposed to not go back home and just run away to Vale City I immediately said yes? Because I trust you. And because I depend on you. I always have, selfishly so. All the things you've been pushed into, despite your wishes, they happened because I was too scared to do them on my own. I wanted you by my side, always. It didn't matter what it was. If it was new, it was scary and insurmountable unless you were there with me. It still is like that, Melanie said. I never realized. You think that highly of me, Milchia asked. How could I not? Milchia. It may take you more to get to the same point as me, but thing is, you do get there eventually. And you're so much braver and wiser than me. I may be better at learning how to do things, but you always know exactly what to do. And hell, I think you could be even better than me at anything you put your mind to if you just allowed yourself to relax. We're not on the road anymore. We have a life here, a home, and financial stability. We're safe and I have the confidence to do things on my own, now. So could you please take the opportunity to do something you like and enjoy it? Big sister. You can have David, I'm more into Ijuku. Which reminds me. I need to invite him out next time he's here. I missed him the last time, Melanie said. About that, Milchia said. Wait, you didn't. I did you, Melanie asked. It was in the heat of the moment. I didn't want to lose anything again after I saw you with David. If I couldn't be with David, I was fine with being with Ijuku. So, I asked him out, to join you and David after work, making it a double date. I'm so sorry for ruining everything, Milchia said. I think I also share some blame. I shouldn't have kept my idea from you, Melanie said. What? What are we going to do, Milchia asked. Saturday. Day 167. Deku was relaxing in his room when there was a knock at the door. He went to answer it. As he opened the door, a raven flew in. They renovated the room. Cool, Raven said. Keep it down, will you? My teammates are in, Deku said. It's not like they know who I am. At most they'll believe you snuck a hot date in the school, Raven said. I wish I could tell them that's not true, but they'll probably find it hard to believe me, Deku said. Oh. Interesting. You must be a god among first years. Taeyong was, and he only managed to bag himself a third year. His bed was in that spot over there. Where the twin beds are, Raven said. Hold on. You mean this was your room, Deku asked. Took you long enough. What a surprise, Raven said. What a coincidence, Deku said. I could be making it up, Raven said. You promised you wouldn't, Deku said. After my own heart. Grab your shit and let's go, Raven said. We're going now. Isn't it a bit early for drinking, Deku asked. I've decided that we might as well check your stamina too. Let's make it a day out. Think you can keep up with me, Ijuku, Raven asked. Raven then left the room. Shortly followed by Deku. The two were now in Vale's Market. Oh, man. The stall is gone, Raven said. Which stall are you talking about, Deku asked. When I was a student, there was this stand that sold the best caramel apples ever. Now it's gone, Raven said. Didn't expect you to like caramel apples of all things, Deku said. Hey. Summer said something similar the first time we went out as a team. She thought I liked Mistralian sweets because I dressed like one of their old swordsmen. Like those sweet balls on skewers. You. Sugar paste is what they are, Raven said. Old swordsman. So there's some kind of reasoning behind those clothes, Deku asked. Other than showing off my legs, you mean? Well, yeah, my tribe was founded by rogue members of that old warrior caste, so it's tradition for the chieftain to wear clothes inspired by their armor, Raven said. There's so much to unpack in that one statement, Deku said. You wanted stories. Let's grab something to eat first, though, Raven said. The two were now sat at a table in the market. So, in order. You were born in a tribe, Deku asked. I was, Raven said. And this tribe descends from? Rogue swordsman from Mistral, Deku asked. In short. A century or so before the Great War happened, Mistral went through political upheaval. A lot of the castes who existed previously found themselves losing privilege, power and facing the specter of social mobility. Some adapted. Others fought back. Some left. The guys who founded my tribe belonged to the latter group, Raven said. It doesn't sound like you approve of the course of action, Deku said. Who would ever approve running from a battle? Especially with those kind of stakes, Raven said. It seems pretty clear to me that they thought they could not win the fight, Deku said. Everyone can fight a battle they know they'll win. What really sets people apart is when you face uncertain odds. Are you going to run? Or are you going to stand your ground and fight? That's the question. And that's what really makes you a warrior. Dust, transforming weapons, magic. Those are all just fancy ornaments. Put them on a sickly tree and sooner or later it'll collapse, Raven said. I'm not talking about combat strength, Deku said. Oh. What do you mean, Raven asked. As you said. Mistral went through a political upheaval. Now, I'll admit I don't know what Mistral was before and after. But's the same as there were those who didn't want change. There were those who did want that change. Be it for a better life under a new government or for the simple fact that some wanted power. And it's clear that more people wanted change than those who didn't. They may have won the physical battle, but without the support of the masses, it would have been futile in the long run. It was the better call to leave and live in grim country where they could keep some sort of power, and the new government wouldn't bother them, Deku said. I see your point, Raven said. But enough of my rambling. So, you know about magic, Deku said. Let's go to Main Street. I want to hunt down this shop, hoping it's still open, Raven said. Raven then got up and headed to Main Street, Deku following shortly behind again. Yes. That's the stuff, Raven said. Ha, Deku said. That's the sound of, ha, I didn't think she'd like jewelry, Raven said. Well, yeah. Didn't think jewelry was something you'd have in a tribe, Deku said. Well, you're right, mostly. These are presents, Raven said. Presents? For who, Deku asked. The younger girls in the tribe. We don't exactly come in contact with civilization all that much, so trinkets like these are rare in our village, Raven said. Makes sense, Deku said. Yeah. Gotta stay hidden, from the government and the Grim wanting to wipe us off the face of Remnant, you gotta to have some tricks up your sleeve, Ijuku, Raven said. Tricks? From the way you were speaking, I thought you were all badasses who don't need no tricks to win, Deku said. Well. Someone's relaxing enough around me to joke around, Raven said. What? Can't take a joke, Deku asked. Wouldn't have married Young's father if I didn't. Anyway, while that'd be cool, we can't all be learning the sword, you know. I mean, we all get trained in combat and the usage of aura, but at the end of the day, someone's got to scrub the toilets, Raven said. Makes sense. Everyone's got their role, then Deku said. Yes. In a lot of way, we never left the society of old Mistral. Including that asinine rule women couldn't occupy government position. Took care of that myself, Raven said. I was about to say. So, how'd you do it, Deku asked. Simple. When Crow didn't come back to the tribe with me after we graduated Beacon and the chieftain still didn't want to make me his successor, I challenged him to a duel and chopped his head off with his own broken blade, Raven said. Deku began to feel uneasy. Afterwards, I took the challenge of anyone else who wanted to stake their claim. After the seventh had gone rolling, they acquiesced. One last thing. The chieftain position in the tribe is hereditary. I'm sure you can work the rest out, Raven said, walking away, leaving Deku to think. Night had now fallen and the two were out the front of a bar. You're not exactly being good company right now, you know, Raven said. Oh, really? I hadn't noticed, Deku said. Is this really the chieftain thing? Come on, I remember the threat you sent my way the first time we met. It can't be bothering you that much, Raven said. It does bother me. But that's not it. It's something else, Deku said. Well, out with it then. You're awfully boring right now, Raven said. If you want something, you just go for it, don't you, Deku asked. Raven said. From what you told me about yourself so far, you're headstrong. You don't back down from a challenge. Also, you're thoughtful. Presents for the younger girls in the tribe. Also, all the little things about the room, the apples, the stories about your teammates. You're not some kind of heartless monster, Deku said. And how the hell does that bother you, Raven asked. If you're like that, then I can think of only two explanations for why you didn't even try to contact Young over all these years or bring her any birthday presents. First one is, you really didn't care for her at all from the moment she was born, Deku said. Raven scowled. I knew it. It's not that you didn't want to see her, it's that you couldn't. And considering the kind of person you are, the only reason you couldn't is because you gave your word you wouldn't. But to who? And why, Deku asked. I also gave my word I'd never tell that to anyone. So that's a question I won't be answering, because otherwise I'd have to lie, Raven said. I knew it. There was no way, Deku said. What kind of monster would take one look at their child and decide you want nothing to do with them for the rest of their lives? I got the only scar of my life bringing Young into this world. I thought that dear Tai Young would tell her something so that she wouldn't grow up thinking exactly that. But seems like I knew even less about him than I thought, Raven said. That's so cruel, Deku said. I really need that drink, now, Raven said. Hopefully nothing too strong, Deku asked. Not a drinker, Raven asked. Not really. It's just the time I had something strong. Well, it's what led the relationship I have, Deku said. Oh. You're telling me more over drinks, Raven said. The two then went to Junior's. Raven burst out laughing. Seriously? That's how it happened? That's hilarious, Raven said, hiccuping. Yeah. Evelyn is still embarrassed by it to this day, Deku said. Bet she is. Though I'm more surprised that Penny, the ginger girl, right, suggested such a ridiculous arrangement. You sure she's got her head on straight, Raven asked, hiccuping. I'll admit, she does have a peculiar brain. She doesn't see why you can only love one person. Love is love, and nothing should get in the way of it, Deku said. Raven laughed. You are a peculiar bunch, Raven said. Raven then climbed over the table. So apart from Penny, David, Evelyn and Young. How many, Raven asked. No comment. And I think you should sit back down, people are staring, and not at this end, Deku said. Raven then crawled over the rest of the table and sat in Deku's lap. What? What are you doing, Deku asked, flustered. Getting comfortable. You wanna test the older model, Raven said. Deku's face went completely red. Alright. You've had enough. Time to calm down, Deku said. Deku then stood up carrying Raven. Raven said. As Deku began to take Raven to the VIP room, she picked up a bottle of alcohol which Deku didn't notice. Deku entered the VIP room with Raven and then put her down. You look stressed. Have a drink, Raven said. I'd rather, Deku said, but he was cut off by Raven kissing him. She had poured some alcohol in her mouth and was now forcing it in Deku's mouth. Deku immediately began to feel the effects of the alcohol. Oh fuck, Deku thought. And after that his mind went blank. A few hours later, Raven left the VIP lounge. She was a bit disheveled and wobbly on her feet. She picked at a white substance off her body and ate it. She smiled to herself. She then transformed into a raven and flew away. End of chapter 68.